Servus Männer, it's Red Pill Germany again. We have reached the time now in Germany and also in Bavaria where, when it comes to the jab, to the vaccine, the age priorities are open now. That means I reported about that in the past. Up until now, there was a more or less strict priority from people with pre existing conditions, risk groups, and whatnot. And then really, really old people. I think it was like over 80 and then 70 to 80, then over 60 and so on. And I think now all these prioritizations, how do you say, this priority is now lifted. That means anybody can now get the jab. And now the time begins that people in middle age or young people, sometimes they have to justify themselves. They're asked, hey, why haven't you gotten the jab yet? Up until now, it was very easy. You could just say, hey, I'm young. It's not my turn yet. Something like that, right? It was very convenient and you didn't have to justify yourself yet. You just didn't have to say anything because it was clear that it wasn't your turn yet. The only thing that you could do is you could call these centers that inject people with this pharmaceutical experimental concoction there. And if somebody who was up for the jab couldn't make it to their appointment, then before they have to throw this holy elixir of life away, they would inject it into you, even though you're not, according to this priority list, it's not your turn yet. That was possible, but that required some initiative. And this is what people did who wanted to go on vacation or on some trip and they didn't want to deal with PCR tests, maybe. Okay, but now, as I said, these restrictions are all lifted. That means now you see. It's like switching the light on in a dark room or something. Now all of a sudden you can tell who really doesn't want to get the jab. Yeah? Up until now it wasn't really clear, but now it is revealed at your workplace, in your circle of friends, in your family. Ah, okay, so that guy, even though he doesn't want to get the vaccine, and that is quite, it's quite uncomfortable, honestly speaking. And we also see this in the realm of politics now already. In Bavaria, for example, we have a governor that is the infamous Markus Söder, of course, who is sometimes referred to, of course, only in a comedic way as Södolf. And he has a vice governor, the Vize-Ministerpräsident, and that is from his coalition partner. He's not CSU, he is from a different party. The coalition partner is Die Freien Wähler. I mentioned them a couple of times in my videos, the Free Voters or something like that. That is the name of the party. And it is a, bürgerliche Partei, as we say in Germany, so a middle class bourgeois party or a middle class party. Bürgerlich kind of also has a conservative ring to it. So the English term middle class or the French term bourgeois doesn't really describe what we Germans mean by bürgerlich. Bürgerlich normally means sound, conservative, not too rich, not too poor, and Bürgertum normally is closely linked to work ethics and getting a proper classical education. So that is bürgerlich. Anyway, so I would say that Die Freien Wähler, they are something like that. They are like the CSU without the mafia connections, maybe. So it is generally a conservative party, and that is why they can so easily. And when I say conservative, you must bear in mind that we're still in Germany. It's still a mostly socialist left-wing country. So conservative, it doesn't mean really conservative, of course, whatever that is. But just bear in mind, basically a cuck party with, that by the extreme leftists in Germany, they are seen as right-wingers. But of course, they're not right-wingers. Anyway, so what I wanted to tell you now is the rather uncomfortable situation in which this vice governor of Bavaria, Mr. Aiwanger, was put by Markus Söder. So it was not a press conference, but I think it was a meeting of the Bavarian government. And there were people of the press, the media was present there. And Söder was then asking his coalition partner, basically his vice minister president, his vice governor, he was asking them in front of all the people, hey, could you maybe explain yourself? Could you justify why you haven't gotten the jab yet? Can you please tell us why? Because, there is no reason. Why don't you do it? And yeah, that must have been really uncomfortable for him because of all the public pressure and all this, this getting this jab is becoming a morally charged question. I think I don't have to tell you, especially from the Anglosphere, you know that all too well, and it is no difference here. Has religious, it's more than overtones. It is cult-like. Absolutely, it is a kind of a substance that takes the place of the Messiah or something. This is how people are feeling, not thinking. They're feeling like that about the issue. They're not thinking at all. So what Mr. Aiwanger then said is that whether or not you get this jab is a personal question. It's a very personal decision, and he is also seeing that for himself like that. So he practices or exercises his right to not getting the jab right now. And he said then he will watch what is going on in the next weeks or month, and then he will decide. I don't know if he means by that he wants to see if more people have any side effects or not, or he wants to see if in autumn, that is what a couple of months from now means actually, in autumn, if we get a fourth wave, or if because of this Indian variant or Delta, whatever they call it now, if the numbers will really go up in autumn or not, and depending on that, he will make his decision. This is at least what he said. If that is true, I mean, he was really put on the spot here. It was a lot of pressure and really uncomfortable, and probably he was surprised by that. Probably they didn't, or Söder probably didn't notify him beforehand. He wanted to put him on the spot and test him a little bit, how he would react in such a uncomfortable situation. And I think he handled it well. I mean, what else can you say? You say it's a personal decision, but I think it is a good sign for the people of Bavaria. And in Bavaria, it seems like there is we have reached this pool of people now that really doesn't want to get the jab, and we see now that the rate of vaccinations is slowing down in Bavaria, and we have come down to these people who are really convinced, no, even though it would be possible for me, I will not get this jab. Yeah, and we have reached that point. We see saturation effects now. Okay. And if the vice governor says that this is a personal decision, that actually is a positive sign for the people of Bavaria. It could mean that, well, if even the vice governor says that, the coalition partner of Mr. Söder, then you cannot really penalize people or bully them too much from the side of the state, at least. Employers can still do a lot, of course, but that is at least a hopeful signal that we see in Bavaria here. And yeah, that's just what I wanted to tell you. And the situation is, of course, not just uncomfortable for Mr. Aiwanger from the Freien Wählern, from the Free Voters, this coalition partner of Mr. Söder. It becomes uncomfortable for all of us that we refuse to be a guinea pig for globalist pharmaceutical companies. We will be asked this question. We will be asked this question at our workplace, in our family, in some clubs, if we like do any sports or practice some art or craft or whatever that involves being together with other people, you will be asked that question. And these disciples of this new cult, they are not satisfied with a reasonable answer or with trying to evade the question or saying it's personal. They're not satisfied. They will come with, like they think, righteous anger or something. They will come after you. So if you haven't thought about that yet, and I think probably in most countries of the West, it is possible for everyone now to get this jab. You will be asked that question. Why haven't you done so yet? And yeah, I also don't know what I will say, but I'm not planning to be a guinea pig. Anyway, let me know if you had experiences with that yet, how it is in your country. Have there been any prominent cases where someone was put on the spot, like maybe in front of like running cameras or something live? How did they deal with that very uncomfortable, surprising situation? And what was the echo in the media and society at large? I would be interested in your stories from your countries. Servus, Kameraden.